Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to a production update video. I'm Richard Worsham, co-founder and designer here at Janus Motorcycles. And this week, we wanted to give you an update on 450, where we are with the 450, and it's right in front of me. This is the fourth production prototype, and this is what it's going to look like for production. So this is the final version. We're really excited to kind of get the last design changes in. As you see it right here, this frame has been, all these tubes get laser cut, all the flat metal gets laser cut. It's then bent here in our shop on our tube bender, and then it goes into our welding fixture and is welded together. This one, we've actually just finished sandblasting it yesterday and today. And so it's freshly sandblasted. It's going to be going out to powder coat tomorrow morning. And then it'll be, again, it'll be there for about a week, and then we're going to start assembling this bike. And we've got some big plans for it. I think this bike will be white. I think it's going to be a white Halcyon 450, so it's going to look pretty cool. Very different from the last one. I can't remember the pinstripe colors. Maybe black? We'll see that next week. But anyway, we just wanted to go over this part of the process. So what you see right here is what we do on the chassis end here at the fabrication shop. The only piece that's missing that we forgot to grab is the fork vertical. So these are the parts that our chassis team, Colin and Charlie, have been working on and will be producing in-house here at our fabrication shop. So that includes, as I mentioned, the fork vertical, which isn't pictured here, the fork horizontal, because we have a leading link front fork, the main chassis, main frame, and the cantilever rear suspension. So all these parts are bolted together and form the backbone or chassis of the Halcyon 450. Last week I talked a little bit about what a production prototype is, and basically this design has not changed in the last three prototypes. What we're really working on is refining the processes. So refining the laser cut process so that everything goes together faster, more smoothly, and in a more controlled and consistent manner. And a good example of that is that we've picked up from the many years we've built the 250, is that when this thing goes to powder coat, we want to have all the high tolerance bearing surfaces masked off from the powder coat. So that would include things like the steering stem. So right here, there are conical thrust bearings that hold the fork and allow it to pivot. Those go in here. You don't want to put powder coat in there because that's a really high tolerance press fit for those bearings. So we need to mask that off. And the same goes for a number of other parts. So for example, the swing arm pivot. So the swing arm here fits into the frame here, and it pivots on these gussets and a bolt that goes through there. It actually goes through there and then through the engine as well. And then this bearing surface needs to be masked off. So I thought I'd show you what that looks like. Charlie just got finished machining these, and what we've chosen to do is use a aluminum plug with a O-ring, and this is a high temp O-ring. And this is what this part right here looks like before it's welded together. And so we're just going to use this because we can hold it. But basically what we do is before the bike goes to powder coat, we can just install this and that O-ring, make sure that it seats well. And then this washer is sized such that when it's all bolted in, the powder coat is masked off from this area. So everything that needs to be powder coated on the exterior gets powder coated, and the bearing surface doesn't. Because what will happen is this part here, there's a bronze bushing that gets pressed in to that, and then a spacer goes inside of that, and then the pivot goes on. It's a pretty complex stack up of parts, but in order for all those tolerances to work properly, you can't have the variable thickness of powder coat, and powder coats also can wear over time. So you want to make sure that it's all machine surfaces riding on each other and properly lubricated, all that kind of stuff. So you got to keep the powder coat off. So that's one place where we're doing that. Another spot, for example, would be on this frame. We have these weldments here and here These are not used on the Halcyon model. They'll be used later on our soft tail models. But this pivot right here on the Halcyon is used for the pivot for the seat, and it's also used as the top mount for the shock absorbers, because the shock absorber will the paired shocks come from here down to here and suspend the swing arm. So this part right here has to be a machined tolerance. And so this little guy right here, same thing, same principle we used on the larger piece here, can be installed in there. It just slides in, and those O-rings keep it exactly where we want. And you can see it's a perfect fit, and that allows us to powder coat in there and maintain a nice machine finish on the inside. The other piece of exciting news we have this week is that Woody, who some of you may know from our service department, he also does a lot of our delivery trips across the country, has taken the second production prototype over the last 4 or 5 days and put 1,300 miles on the bike, just riding all over the Midwest. He was sending us photographs from the Harley-Davidson Museum, from the National Motorcycle Museum in Iowa. He kind of made a tour all over the place, just putting miles on the bike and learning more about it. And so I've been enjoying kind of debriefing him on that and learning everything we can about the bike. He just had a fantastic time. Nothing but praise for the bike. And overall, his report from the ride was just how smooth the bike is, how he was mostly taking smaller roads. So I think he was probably doing 60, 65 miles an hour most of the time. He said his RPMs were super low. He was getting about 60 miles to the gallon, 62 miles to the gallon on average. And I think his main comment was just how smooth the bike is. Oh, also he really appreciated the seat, which I really, all the testing I've done has been on basically an older version of essentially the 250 Wideline seat. And so it's really good to hear that Sargent, he said, is just, he was doing 12-hour days in the saddle, and he said it was just fantastic. So a lot of really encouraging news from that trip, and we can't wait to share more of that. I'm going to talk to Woody about maybe doing a blog post about it. So we'll have more to share about that either way. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated with all the future videos we're coming out with.